Welcome to the Investing Bros. Bitcoin is back up above $65,000. It's very, very exciting. We're going to actually start with a coin we almost never, ever talk about, and probably we should, because it's setting the standard for reserve sell-off here. This is Binance Coin. You can see the number to beat here, 23% to the downside. Going back to these lows back here. On the most recent dip lower, only 21.3 to the downside. And the live price down just 13%. So let's look at the next best. I'm trying to see who has weathered the storm, this recent pullback the best. Taking a look at Solana. This one was another one that kind of caught my eye, even though it's faced a lot of criticism for not being able to process as fast. 42.16 to the downside. Down to the live price, 31.65. We're getting right into the numbers, folks. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. AVAX has just gotten slaughtered, and this is kind of what I wanted to point out here. Take a look at this one. 54, you call that 55% to the downside. To the live price, 45%. So AVAX completely slaughtered versus Solana and certainly BNB coin. Let's look at Ethereum. This will be the second to last one I do here, so bear with me if you have no interest in this. 30%, so held up really well, and then 24%. So of those, Ethereum seems to be doing really, really well for sure. And then finally, we'll look at your boy, the big one, who's gotten back up above $65,000. As of this morning, it's Bitcoin. Let's take a look here, 19% to the downside, into live price, just 11%. So beating Binance, yeah, I love that. So, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's drill in here. Let's look at the 4-hour here for Bitcoin. Let me tell the story. For those of you who may be just tuning in to crypto for the first time, you know, your nephew's been badgering you, sending all kinds of text messages and telling you got to get in crypto, Now you're looking at crypto and you're like, well, it's back up above 65, you know, and if it can weather this storm through Middle Eastern tensions that we will be covering here in the show in just a second, maybe it is time to go ahead and get back into position. Well, we're going to look at this level here that has just gotten back up above 64,008. OG bros will know what that level is, but I will show you what that level is here in just a second. You can see that we found support pretty nicely here on that 64.8 level. We'll come back and look again. I'll give you some context of why that is, but it found nice support back here April 2nd, preventing what we've seen now from happening. But unfortunately, although it prevented a move lower, that support level of 64.8, it did not produce a higher high from back here, and therefore price action was much more likely to come back and have some price discovery to the downside. Now the question is that price discovery to the downside over? Are the local bottoms in for crypto? Let's take a look. Continuing to tell the story here, we started to put in a downtrending line of resistance. Bitcoin could not get back up above it back here as early as April 12th. Okay, and then there was, I wouldn't even call this an attempt here, and then a failed attempt here on the 15th, another failed attempt here on the 17th, which brings us to the present, where we did not get a failed attempt, right? Yesterday, we saw a nice price action within this green candlestick, getting all the way back up above, all the way to about 63,007, right before a test lower. A wick, I will point out, that's nice to see. A wick lower, did not close anywhere south of 63.5. And then we basically got the same thing. And then we did have a wick lower that pushed all the way back down to 59.5, right? And if this is where you gave up in crypto, this is where you said, I'm hanging up my hat, I got liquidated in some leverage again, I can't stand this. My heart is just too weak for this. My hands are just too paper thin. And you sold out, that was the worst time. Could be the worst time to sell out because now there's a good chance that was the bottom and we are headed higher. Now, why are traders starting to feel more confident, investors starting to feel a little more confident that this is the bottom here, 59.6? Well, if we throw on some some Fibonacci extensions here, you'll be able to see that we did not get down to this 58 level, right? This 58 level would have been the beginning of the golden pocket from the downside. So the top of the golden pocket would be a better way to explain it. But we did get all the way down here to 59.5 or 59.6, call it, right? So why are folks beginning to think that that could be the bottom? Well, I think it has a lot to do with this level here. In order to know what 64.8 really is, you got to go back, all the way back to the Big Bang when helium and hydrogen collided. No, you don't have to go that far back. You just go back to the previous bull market here. You can see this wick high went to 64.8, and that is a significant level of support. Now, really, it should hold as support. And now we're looking at monthly candles, and on the monthly for April, this current candle is likely. I mean, at this point, it's likely because it's currently above it. You know, it's wicked quite a bit lower here. We can kill a lot of this drawing here. It's been able to stay above 64.8, currently trading 64.8 and change. So if we can get back above this level that this wick put in back here, that would be bullish, right? Because it's basically saying, hey, this cluster of highs here, back here, this is now going to be support for the price structure moving forward. Now, we have wicked lower than these candlesticks, which I'd say is much more robust support, because you also get some slight confluence with this wick high back here from that 61.7 level all the way down to 61.3 level. So, obviously a monthly candle close below 60, what did I just say? 61, that would be pretty bearish. That would mean that price discovery probably has a little bit more legs. But as of right now, we're not only closing above the 61 level, it looks like we could get a close above 64.8, right? But we can't count our chickens before they hatch. The month is far from over. And if this month has taught us anything, it's that the Bitcoin halving volatility is unpredictable, right? And it is volatile, it is extra volatile this go around. So that is the long and short of Bitcoin, but I did bring up Binance Coin for a reason. Binance Coin has held strong, and it's a coin that a lot of people have kind of written off as like sucky and bad and manipulated and blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, it's held up, and you have to have broad-based holding and broad-based lack of selling in order to have a price structure like this. Binance Coin has higher lows. It's something that Bitcoin cannot say, right? Bitcoin has had lower lows here, unfortunately. Now you could also say that this is starting to form a bit of a bull channel, right? That could break out to the upside quite nicely and predictably. But Binance Coin, you just got to give it to them, right? That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you should go buy it necessarily. That is absolutely one conclusion you might take from the fact that I'm bringing it up here. But that's not my intention. I'm just kind of giving it the respect it deserves. It's done well here. Speaking of what coins are doing well, let's go over to the crypto bubbles. Hex coin getting a nice bid here, up 43%. Hex coin, I'm just going to go ahead and say I would stay away from it. I don't think there's any real reason to go ahead and invest in that. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Am I wrong? Am I not giving Hex coin enough credit? I kind of don't care. Arweave up 13%. Wifhat up to 18%. Rune up 14%. Tia up 11%. So we're seeing a decent amount of movement to the upside. Not really. I wouldn't even really call this a mixed market. It is generally up and to the right for your majority of cryptos here. Pith up 6.4%. Pith actually has had quite a correction. This one has gotten quite a bit lower during this escalation that has led to a dip lower for risk assets such as crypto. So overall, Pith, just today off the top of my head, if I had to deploy some funds to buy altcoins, I think Pith might not be a terrible pickup. It is the Oracle competitor for Chainlink. It's an Oracle over on the Solana network. So obviously not financial advice, but awesome advice as it's getting a nice bit higher here. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into the news. Before we do, let's go ahead and hear from the chat, see what all you guys are thinking. Just 11 hours away from the Bitcoin halving. Let's refresh to make sure that's as accurate as we can get. Absolutely. Dylan Martinez said, "Screw Hex." Ha 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 ha. Let's see what else we got going on here. Where do you think BCH go? Up and to the right. It is an altcoin, and it is going to do well, and I have 0 of it. And I don't plan on buying any of it. But if you have it, you're not in a bad coin there. There is actually, I think Bitcoin Cash has a good narrative because it's going to be on that one exchange, or it already is on that exchange that is like very TradFi. MXD. I can never remember the name of it though. I apologize. What is this meme here? Brace yourself. It's coming tonight. That's cool. I don't think I've ever seen a meme here. This is on nicehash.com is the countdown that I've got pulled up here. STX for the win, says Juice Toes. Absolutely. I picked up some STX last week on the dip. Very glad I did so far. The Ancient Wonder said tomorrow we are going to start pumping. So that is definitely within question. And we're going to get to an article about whether or not that's going to happen. Just because I'm bullish, feeling more bullish today, right? We're back up above 65. We're back up above that wick high from 2021. Doesn't mean that I don't think we could go lower here, that 50,000 isn't still in the cards. I'm not going to make a case for that here. We've made a case for it on the 3 p.m. show several times now. I'm just going to tell you straight up in words, like it is possible, guys. It is possible. So definitely, be allocated accordingly, right? Do what you need to do with that information. I think it's probably less than a 5% chance that happens, right, at this point. But, everybody thought it was very unlikely that we would see sub 60,000, and we got it. We got it last night. We didn't stay there very long, but we did get it. Kyle Field said, "Can we look at LTC? Been waiting for it to drop to 68, but it's holding well." Kyle, you have said some very interesting and fun things recently. I don't know them off the top of my head, but for you, I will. This is what happens when you bring value to the bros. You'll get some TA here from the least, let's see, the least brain cells available in the morning here. So just be aware that what I'm doing here is kind of back of the napkin here. I haven't taken a lot of time to study Litecoin, but goodness gracious, what a whipsaw here. I'm kind of disoriented with the price structure. Oh, okay, I see. I'm very zoomed out. Let me go down to the 4-hour for you. This is Litecoin. Litecoin, originally a fork of Bitcoin, but it's kind of taken off on a little bit of a community of its own. It's been not hugging, but in the reversal wave here on the 4-hour from Lux ALGO. And I would say this reversal has not really played out. We've just basically been sideways. It looks like it even really hasn't kind of participated in the move higher that Bitcoin did just put in. So what even is it up today? Sometimes that quote I don't really like. Let's see. We are taking some time here to look at Litecoin on the morning stream. Let's see. I just want to get a better quote because TradingView, for some reason, it doesn't like. All right, there we go. So it's up 0.2% today. So anemic gains, really not impressing anybody. And you're asking, what can we look at it? Been waiting for it to drop to 68. Okay, so how much further down is 68? Ooh, 68. Oh man, yeah. I mean, so this is going to move with the rest of the market, right? I don't think that there's too much narrative around Litecoin that's coming to the surface that's going to be causing people to sell or buy it disproportionately to Bitcoin. I'm not sure why you're wanting to get exposure to Litecoin. We had another question about Bitcoin Cash. What's up with these ancient Bitcoin forks being shouted out this morning? It's interesting. All right, so we've taken a look there. We do have some breaker blocks back down here. And you wanted an entry at 68? Yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be a tough call because you've got a lot of that would put it down below the discount zone. So from a buy low, sell high standpoint, that's not a bad entry on Litecoin. But I don't know that we'll get down that low. And I'm going to show you guys here in the stories if we can ever get to it, which is why that is. Litecoin, I think maybe when people look at the Bitcoin forks, they're thinking that there's like extra security in them because they're either Bitcoin's code. I would Bitcoin is really, really valuable because it was the first blockchain, because it's proof of work, and because it's highly adopted, right? The Bitcoin forks are really kind of novelty for the Bitcoin maxis, in my opinion, right? I don't see a very, very bright future for the Bitcoin fork. So if you're just buying it to trade it, I think that's probably the best outcome. I think buying it to hold it, I would be careful. Although I will say that Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, those two specifically, those Bitcoin forks, they do look like they will be adopted to some extent by TradFi, but for how long, right? I don't know. TradFi, I think, will eventually become wise to the fact that neither of those coins really have a future in being the currency, the digital currency of the future for actual exchange. Now, I say that, and it could be, but I think Bitcoin would have a better chance of being the means of exchange because of how much growth we're seeing on the layer 2 to try to create that scalability. Way more alpha than you guys expected this morning for for this. And now we have to move on. But thank you for the question there, Kyle. Let's see if we got some bros trying to get some 360 analysis on this. Blackie Chan said BCH is the only fork with potential. Okay. B-Ball said, if you're going all in, then actually go all in. I don't know what that means specifically, but I wouldn't go all in on Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash. For what it's worth, I'm thinking Litecoin and other OG coins may have an advantage with federal regulators. Regulators come into play. That is a good case. Okay, so from a regulatory standpoint and like a fair launch standpoint, I don't think Bitcoin Cash had a fair launch. Litecoin may have. But I do agree with that from a regulatory standpoint. And that's why, man, what is the name of that exchange? Oh, man. Do you guys remember that exchange that I want to say it's like Fidelity is launching? MDX, I can never remember it. Exchange. Oh, man, you guys got me putting out some dead air. I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh, man. Yeah, maybe the chat will remember what it is. But there is going to be an exchange. Either it's out or it's coming out. And they like re-headquartered to like New Zealand. Okay, we got to move on here. Guys, this episode's brought to you by iTrust Capital. We're getting into the news here. If you're looking to invest and trade in crypto, but you're not looking to pay all the taxes that come with capital gains tax, trade it in an IRA, a Roth or a traditional IRA. You can get hooked up through the link in the description. We trust iTrust, and so should you. Go ahead and click in that link in the description. We've got this dashboard here, which is really cool, from sosovalue.xyz. And something that's not so cool is that we've got a fourth day of outflows from the ETFs as of yesterday. But let's keep moving here. Some bullish news for Telegram messaging app Telegram to allow Tether stablecoin payments. So Tether interested in integrating with Telegram, and the CEO and founder of Telegram, I don't know if he's a CEO, but the founder of Telegram was actually just on Tucker Carlson's podcast, whatever you call it. And man, I learned so much about that. I recommend going and watching that. They are really interestingly positioned because their main competitor, in my opinion, is WhatsApp, right? And I guess Signal and other like encrypted messaging apps, right? But Telegram, I think, might be the winner here, and then eventually it's not even WhatsApp that they're competing with; it's going to be X, right? Because X is kind of building from the opposite direction. They're not so much a messaging app. Anyway, so I would definitely not sleep on. Toncoin is obviously the kind of the one to bet on here for this story. And by the way, this is on CNBC.com. They're picking this story up, so it's significant. Probably has to do with that Tucker Carlson interview. But Toncoin is probably one of the biggest coins that I slept on all through 2023, and it's one of the bigger regrets that I have not picking up. It was kind of like very popular in a lot of the Asian markets, and I think for that reason, here at the Investing Bros, we kind of discounted it. But I'm not saying it's necessarily the best buy now. It will likely go higher with the rest of the Bitcoin, with the rest of the crypto bull market. But yeah, Piper jumping in said, "What's up, brother? Helping remind me that I need to move on here. Only 7 more minutes left in the show, so let's keep it moving." Live updates on the escalations in the Middle East. There is a very comforting phrase here. Flights in Iran resumed with no restrictions today. A state-run news agency reported earlier that flights were suspended in the city of Tehran and other cities there in Iran. So that is good, right? And I think that it may not be that exact headline, right, that is bringing and allowing Bitcoin to get back up above 65,000, but it is good. The other thing is this word right here. When it comes to these escalations and this narrative and how it's bearish for crypto generally. And by bearish, I mean providing you opportunities to buy the best crypto assets at a discount. Israel carried out limited military strikes against Iran and is assessing its effectiveness and damage it caused. A source familiar with the situation told NBC News. So this is like they're trying to escalate without escalating. Israel. They're trying to basically like do something so that they're not seen as cowards, I guess. But it's very limited. And we know it's limited because every single headline has said that it's limited, right? So the media is kind of in lockstep as reporting this strike from Israel against military assets of Iran as limited, is limited, meaning it has a limit. I think that the media is really kind of moving in a direction of trying to portray Israel as the victor and the victim, while also saying that there won't be any more escalation here. Markets can resume to the upside, and also it's the weekend, so who knows what's going to happen on the weekend. After all, there is a pretty crazy regime of Iran that's kind of involved in all this. Pretty crazy, whatever. Maybe they're not. Maybe Israel's the crazy one. I don't know. But not a geopolitical expert. Kind of interested in it, right? But this is an investment channel, and that's where we're going to stay. Crypto Rover, bringing up some really interesting charts here. The more liquidity is entering the market, the higher Bitcoin will go. So this is the USDT. This is Tether market cap. And as you can see, as Tether market cap swells, right, during a pullback, that increases the chances here of a huge run, right? So right now, lots of Tether making its way, or I guess you could say lots of fiat or whatever, crypto, whatever it is, has rotated into USDT and is ready to more than likely rotate into Bitcoin, sending it higher, right? I mean, he was looking at this, and he took this screenshot. It is from Crypto Rover. He took it at 64,005, so Bitcoin had only maybe just wicked up above into 65. So really cool there from Crypto Rover. This is probably one of the more bullish charts I'm going to show you guys this morning. Moving along here. Here's the headline here. How will traders handle volatility ahead of the Bitcoin halving? Let's land on this. We'll come back to this here in just a second. I want to tell you guys the Indian election is starting today. As India heads to the polls, Modi's BJP is set to get a boost in opposition-ruled Tamil Nadu. Okay, so just if you're in India, if you're in the area, whatever it is, you've got the elections coming up today, and the polling has started. Now, this is the world's largest election, okay? So very important. We'll be paying attention to this. I don't know which side is more crypto-friendly. Didn't have time to look into that. But Modi has been in power for a while now, so I would imagine that he's probably not the most crypto-friendly. I don't know. Anybody watching from India, let me know. And how is this going to affect our crypto bags? I got some alpha here for you. Coinbase's earnings, if you're in the U.S. and you can buy Coinbase, their earnings are on May 2nd, coming up quickly. And why is this important? Well, because the last earnings report was on Q4. So this earnings report is going to be on Q1, the quarter that Coinbase has taken on this new role as a gigantic custody provider for BlackRock, Fidelity, and not Fidelity, but BlackRock and many of the ETF issuers, right? So we don't know exactly what those fees are going to be. We don't know exactly how much money they've made and how much that's going to exceed the earnings that have been estimated by Wall Street. But my guess is that it's going to shock the market. I think that we're going to see a huge move to the upside. Could be wrong on that. Definitely not financial advice, but that is something that I don't want the bros to miss out on this, right? May 2nd is that day when we will get Coinbase's earnings. So there's some kind of phrase that kind of comes to mind for this. I don't know if it's something I've heard before or if it's something that maybe I'm coming up with right now. But buy low, sell high, May 3rd. Where's May 3rd? Right here. So May 3rd, got the Lux Algo overlays there. May 3rd, just right here. Buy low, sell high. I don't know. Not a prediction, right? Just a little movement there on the charts. All right. So how will traders handle volatility ahead of the Bitcoin halving? Analysts are split. And we're going to hear from those analysts now. It's hard to tell, but certainly the sell pressure from traders has been diminishing as they have basically taken all profit. Julio Moreno, head of research over at CryptoQuant, told Decrypt, according to the firm's metrics, the short-term holder realized price, we talked about this with Caleb on Wednesday, has returned to near equivalency with the asset's market price. That means the short-term traders, in aggregate, are no longer sitting on large profits that would incentivize them to sell immediately. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, that means price go up, right? And that's what we're seeing. How long that will last, we're not sure. And is that a more powerful force for hodlers? And is that a new powerful buy thesis that can overcome the sell thesis of the tension escalation, of the ETF outflows? We will have to see. Let's continue. Though crypto Twitter may have been spooked by the pullback, analytics firm Into the Block says it was business as usual for Bitcoin, again citing investor profitability. At the time of the highs, over 97% of hodlers were in profit for an extended period, said market director Vincent M. This rarely occurs and is never sustainable. Comparatively speaking, the size of the pullback wasn't even that large. He added, only falling 10 to 20% from its highs before the 2017 cycle top. Bitcoin experienced multiple drawdowns of 30% from its highs. Okay, I read that pretty bad. Sorry. Comparatively speaking, the size of the pullback wasn't even that large, falling just 10 to 20% from its highs. Okay, in 2017, the cycle top, Bitcoin experienced multiple drawdowns exceeding 30%. If you are hearing this for the first time, make sure that you like and subscribe because you obviously have not been tuning into the Investing Bros. This is the drum that we have been beating again and again and again, that historically 30 to 40% drawdowns in Bitcoin's price, even in a bull market, is not uncharacteristic. These happen. So far, we have barely seen a 20% pullback for Bitcoin's price during these tensions, during the ETF outflow, combination of bear-sell thesis that seems to be disintegrating, falling away, right? And then a stronger bull thesis, buy thesis coming into play. We see a downside for the Bitcoin price post-halving for several reasons, wrote JP Morgan analyst Nicholas P. in a Wednesday report. We've already covered this one, but it bears repeating. This is coming from TradFi. The bank believes that the halving has already been priced in by the market. For one, estimating that the asset's volatility adjusted price relative to gold should be closer to 45K. The crypto market has also experienced a lack of venture funding, it noted, and Bitcoin futures open interest remains elevated. Okay, so these are all the bearish reasons. In a report last week, Goldman Sachs, maybe you've heard of them, acknowledged that Bitcoin's price usually surges to new highs after the halving, but that the timing of the surge differs between different cycles. Yeah, the halving itself it claimed, could also be a sell the news event. Caution should be taken against extrapolating the past cycles and the impact of the halving, given the respective prevailing macro conditions, the bank analyst said. Okay, so citing basically the Fed not cutting, Bitcoin open interest being high, very true, and then some kind of voodoo with gold. I wasn't really exactly sure what that meant. But there are bearish, there is a sell thesis here in some sense, a rotation to gold thesis, right? The Fed's not going to cut in 2024 thesis, right? And future open interest thesis. All of these, though, I think pale in comparison to the fact that U.S. Congress is about to go vote on another payment, another bill to go fund Ukraine and the Israeli conflicts, right? Fund them, for good, hopefully, whatever it is, however the money makes its way over there. And what it actually does, I don't know. But the fact is that we're going to be spending more money in the U.S., and that is going to lead to more inflation, higher inflation. And what we have been seeing, and actually I'm going to go, not to TradingView, I'm going to go to this new site here that I found, sosovalue.xyz, but to look at the, I guess you can never escape TradingView. It's still there. In fact, screw this, I'm going to go to TradingView. The chart's too small. But let's look at the Dixie here. The Dixie is starting to kind of round over. Let's look at the MACD on this. Starting to round over. Those red histograms are actually decelerating. Let's go to the daily. I'm all over the place, guys. I'm sorry. This was definitely not a very noob-friendly show. If you're new to crypto, welcome. We're grounded crypto news. We try to bring it to you every single day, twice a day. But today has been a little bit sporadic. But we are starting to round to the downside. This is nice to see here on the daily from the Dixie. What is the Dixie? It's the strength of the dollar, which the Dixie goes down, Bitcoin goes up, vice versa. And Dixie has unpredictably, I'd say, I thought that by now we would be back down in 100 for the Dixie. We started to break out of this pattern here, broke down, and I was cheering. Everybody was excited. And then, wait, what? Back over the midline of the Bollinger Band on the daily chart? Wait, what? Retesting higher on the midline of the Bollinger Band? Wait, all the way back up, tip-topping up at 106.5? So now we're starting to see a rounding, but we saw a rounding here. We'll see. Could the Dixie just come back, find support on the midline of the Bollinger Band again? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that spending package for Ukraine and Israel also plays into it. Hopefully the Dixie will have a reprieve and let Bitcoin do its thing to the upside post-halving. But we shall see. In the meantime, I will take what I can get, because right now, Bitcoin going lower just means I have more paychecks to rotate into Bitcoin and buy it low. Kind of the way that I'm looking at it. And by Bitcoin, I mean altcoins, because I'm not really buying too much spot Bitcoin, to be honest with you guys. It's very high priced, and I have a decent bag of it already. If you do not have any Bitcoin, I would say that these are great prices to buy Bitcoin. Not financial advice, but they're even better prices to buy altcoins. But altcoins are less conservative of an investment, right? They have a higher chance of going to zero than Bitcoin, much higher at this point, but they are going to outperform Bitcoin by a long shot if the bull market plays out the way that we think it will. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be going live again to dive deeper into these charts, deeper into these questions. iTrust Capital is responsible for this episode. Make sure you guys click on the link and at least go check it out. If you love paying taxes, then don't check it out. If you love paying extra money to the IRS, writing checks to those guys over there, then be my guest, right? But if you want to save money and not have to pay capital gains, but rather pay your income tax rate when you retire on your crypto gains, go to iTrust Capital in the link in the description of this video and make it happen for yourself. If you're trading today, I'd be careful. I think BitMEX just expanded their leverage to 250x now. Do not do that. Please don't. Even if the most experienced traders don't have any business trading 250x. But if you're trading today, make sure you keep those stop losses tight. And if you're human, stay hydrated. We'll see you at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.